5 je sati, pa vrijeme je da krenemo. U moje ime, u ime doktora Bidžua, želio bih vas svih pozdraviti. Sa nama je ovdje i njegova ekscelencija, ambasador Indije u Hrvatskoj, His Excellency Raj Kumar Srivastava. Welcome here. I would first give word to you, and then my talk will be in Croatian, about 20-25 minutes. And then after this, we're going to have Dr. Bidžu with his talk about Ayurveda and immunity. So I'm handing over to you, Excellency.
Thank you very much. This is a wonderful opportunity for me to meet all of you virtually. And I'm sure that there will be a time soon enough to meet you physically in Croatia. First of all, let me wish you all a very happy Diwali. As you are aware that we are in the Diwali week, so it starts from Dhanvantri Day, which is basically the Ayurveda Day that we are celebrating also. I wish you a very happy Diwali and a very happy Ayurveda Day, which is the 5th International Ayurveda Day we are celebrating now. I am very happy to see that there is a lot of energy in Croatia with regard to Ayurveda. There is an effort that Government of India has done in the last 5 years to bring this Indian heritage, which is actually a universal heritage, to the globe by providing the connectivity to Ayurvedic institutions in India, and the efforts of people like you who are participating here are doing outside India. Today, on this occasion of International Ayurveda Day, Prime Minister Modi had dedicated 2 new institutes to the nation and actually to the globe on Ayurveda. One is in Gujarat, Jamnagar, and another is in Jaipur, Rajasthan. That basically to highlight the fact that we are creating institutions of excellence on Ayurveda, apart from All India Institute of Ayurveda in Delhi, which was established a few years back. I have personally visited that institution, and I must tell you that there is a what you call democratizing of Ayurvedic facilities to the whole of India. Under the program of Ayushman Bharat, which is actually one of the largest world program of universal health coverage, given India's population, 1.4 billion people. And now we have this program for last 2 years called Ayushman Bharat, which is basically for medical coverage for the people of India. There is a concept of wellness. And this is very important to highlight, that we need to take care of health as healthcare and not as sick care, which is most of the time we are ending up doing, where we are taking care of our sickness rather than ensuring that we don't fall sick. And I think this is very important to highlight, that Ayurveda ensures that our lifestyle is such, and there is a balance in your whole system of within your body, as well as in what you call synergy with the environment that you live in, that you don't fall sick. And I think that is the best kind of wellness that we can aim for. I am very happy to see that there are stakeholders in Croatia who are doing very good work on this field. And in my tenure here, in next 3 to 4 years, I will ensure that whatever support we can provide from India to your noble work, we will do so. Very happy to be part of this event today. I wish you all the best for today's event, as well as in future to be connected with you and try to do something together. You are aware that International Day of Yoga, which was established also 5 years back, has now become a global phenomena. It is not about day of yoga, it has now become a daily routine of yoga. And I think International Day of Ayurveda will also take us to that path where we can have Ayurveda as the part of life rather than just celebrating it on one day. Wishing you all the best. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Excellency. Looking forward working with you next 3-4 years, and you are always welcome to events such as this one. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to continue in Croatian now. as that's how we agreed, and that's how we agreed with Indian Foundation to have a part of this meeting in Croatian and part in English. Thank you. Hvala vam svima što ste ovdje večeras sa nama. Vi koji me ne znate, ja sam Nebojša Rađenović, bavim se Ayurvedom i u Ayurvedi sam već 8 godina, specijalizirao sam na farmaciji odabrane vrste indijske tradicionalne medicine i završio sam za ajurvedskog savjetnika i od 2012. sam svake godine u Indiji u jednoj klinici, jednoj bolnici na jugu Indije, AVN Hospital, odakle nam dolazi dr. Biju koji će pričati kasnije o njegovim iskustvima sa COVID pacijentima tokom ove pandemije. Moja prva tema večeras, odnosno moja tema večeras je malo suha i nije baš toliko zanimljiva, traje oko 20 minuta i ona je o Ayurvedi danas i kako je vidimo sutra, odnosno 2030. godine. Danas imamo dosta ne mogu reći problema, ali da kažem izazova što se tiče Ayurvede. Podijelit ću s vama ovu prezentaciju, pa ćete vidjeti. Ovo sve će biti i snimljeno, tako da će kome treba i ako mislite da nekom treba, možemo podijeliti ovo sa vama. Znači, što se tiče Ayurvede i zapadne medicine, ovaj tradicionalni sustav liječenja privlači sve veću pozornost, osobito od kad je Svjetska zdravstvena organizacija njega uvrstila i prepoznala kao tradicionalnu medicinu 1978. godine i uvrstila u program Zdravlje za sve. Taj program je trajao, odnosno još uvijek traje, počeo je 1981. i predviđen je da traje 20 godina do 2001. godine, kad se planiralo zdravlje i postupno. Međutim, 2001. to se produžilo za još 20 godina, tako da je sljedeći je 2021. Da li će 2021. na još 20, vjerovatno, ali na koji način, to ćemo vidjeti, jer jedini put je integrirati i raditi integrativno Ayurvedu i našu zapadnu medicinu. Ayurveda može biti komplementarna i suportivna terapija mnogim modernim bolestima. Ja moram samo još neke ljude pustiti, u čekaonici su, tako da nemojte mi zamjeriti što malo i tipkam, nadam se da me dobro čujete. Ayurveda može biti komplementarna i suportivna terapija mnogim modernim bolestima i najbolji način da se to i primjeni su kliničke studije. Imamo jako puno kliničkih studija i znanstvenih radova sa ayurvedskim preparatima i lijekovima i terapijama, tako da na PubMedu danas možete naći preko 6000 studija o Ayurvedi. One nisu sve kliničke studije, kliničkih studija ima puno manje i normalno je da ih ima puno manje, ali i sa tim brojem kliničkih studija vidi se jedan put koji je jedini moguć za Ayurvedu, a to je da se u suradnji sa modernim znanstvenim studijima, kliničkim studijima, Ayurveda afirmira kao jedna integrativna medicina u modernu medicinu. Potreba na zdravstvenim osnovama, stabilnim znanstvenim osnovama je jedina moguć, u stvari, da se Ayurveda bude prepoznatljiva. Ona se potvrdila onkoloških pacijenata kao jako dobra suportivna terapija, posebno Bosiljak je imao jako dobar učinak i imaju 5-6 studija o Bosiljku i pomoći Bosiljka kod onkoloških pacijenata. Kod raznih degenerativnih bolesti jako dobro funkcionira reumatoidni artritis, živčano-koštani sustav, autoimunih bolesti, kod alergija, tamo gdje recimo zapadna medicina jako teško nalazi rješenja ili su ta rješenja nisu adekvatna, odnosno samo su pomoć, a ne rješenja. Ayurveda i sa ayurvedskim pristupom možemo stvarno puno napraviti i kad se to tvrdi ovako kolokvijalno, onda će zapadna znanost reći pa gdje su dokazi. Jedini dokazi su u stvari te kliničke studije i njih ima sve više. Recimo ja sam ovo izdvojio na PubMedu. To je američka tražilica biokemijskih, biomedicinskih znanosti, međutim ima i tako i ruskih tražilica gdje ima puno više, ali ako uvrstite, kažete ruska, onda to može zvučati isto kao da nije relevantno. U Indiji jako puno tražilica sa puno više kliničkih studija nego recimo na PubMedu. Ako ima nekih pitanja, ova prezentacija traje nekih 20 minuta, tako da ja bih vas zamolio da pitanja budu na kraju. Koji su naši problemi u praksi trenutno? Nema standardizacije, znači dijagnostika, ima raznih škola dijagnostike i pristupa ajurvedskih, nema analize podataka. Primjena terapije i preparata isto nema analiza kvaliteta. Imate preparata sa raznih strana Indije i to su prije su bili puno veći problemi sa teškim metalima, danas to više nije slučaj, to sada se jako dobro i kontrolira i kontrola kvalitete, ali su potrebna sistemska istraživanja djelotvornosti ajurvedskih biljaka. Ja kad pričam o ajurvedskim biljkama, ne bih volio samo da razmišljamo o biljkama iz Indije. Treba nam puno više analiza i naših evropskih biljaka i mi jako puno rješenja imamo u Europi. Ayurvedu kao individualnu i kao vrlo intuitivnu medicinu jako je teško ukalupiti i standardizirati, ali se ipak mogu neki napraviti pomaci da se to regulira. Recimo, mi smo imali do nedavno udrugu ajurvedskih praktičara i terapeuta koja se ugasila. Nadam se da će se ponovo pokrenuti u Hrvatskoj. Nama treba jedna krovna organizacija koja bi se bavila standardizacijom i licenciranjem pojedinaca i institucija. Isto tako, jedan od problema je dostupnost ajurvedskih preparata u Europskoj uniji generalno, ne samo kod nas. Trenutno kod nas ima 2, 3, 4 možda firme se bave preparata i svaka im čast, to nije lako i nije jednostavno, ali mi dostupnost tih preparata i ta birokratska procedura da se oni registriraju nama onemogućava u stvari da imamo paletu ajurvedskih proizvoda za preporuku klijentima. Recimo, u Europi postoji, ja sam ovdje naveo 20-25 registriranih ajurvedskih preparata, ne znam, neka ih je i 30. Ali vi iz tih 30 morate odabrati nešto za klijenta i to je problem. Umjesto da u stvari mi prilagođavamo terapiju bolesti, mi sad prilagođavamo tome šta nam je dostupno. I recimo kad bi se to do 2030. godine riješila, bili bi jako sretni da se ta birokratska struktura nekako relaksira i da bude lakša i dostupnija pristupnost preparata. Danas vi morate jedan preparat, ako ga želite, iako je Europska unija, morate ga registrirati ako je za komercijalnu prodaju u svakoj zemlji Europske unije, što je malo čudno. I onda dolazimo do toga da ljudi gledaju gdje je najjeftinije, u stvari registriraju proizvode u Bugarskoj ili Litvi, gdje je puno jeftinije i jednostavnije. Ta procedura bi, recimo, bilo bi jako dobro kad bi mogli unificirati i relaksirati. Osim toga, birokratske, mi imamo i kartoteke, recimo nas, ajurvedskih praktičara i doktora, nisu povezane, i povezanost tih kartoteka mi bi mogli u stvari vidjeti za koje dijagnoze, koji preparati imaju bolju učinkovitost i koja je terapija prikladnija. Znači, to bi se mogla raditi neka sistemska obrada, prikaz napretka klijenta i znanstvena ili praktična potvrda terapije. U svijetlu pandemije i direktne konzultacije su trenutno problem, tako da se ljudi sve više okreću online konzultacijama i onda nemate tog ajurvedskog direktnog pristupa, niti pulsne dijagnostike, i nije jednostavno napraviti dijagnostiku tako, ali je moguće. Recimo u nekim većini ajurvedskih univerziteta u Indiji pulsna dijagnostika se čak ni ne uči na fakultetu. To je jedna intuitivna dijagnostika, jedna od 8, tako da to je samo jedna od 8 dijagnostika u AFD. Informiranost i dostupnost informacija u realnom vremenu je isto problematična kad imate kartoteke koje su nepovezane. Rješenja koja bi mogli naći je u nekim online aplikacijama, i ovdje ću predstaviti jednu od njih koja je proizvod prijatelja Ivana Zdešića. To je ajurvedska aplikacija za ajurvedske klinike, i čak i ovdje vidim da ima dosta i ljudi iz yoga centara, i za yoga centre i za meditativne centre, gdje bi se u stvari mogla ta dobrobit znanstvena, imati znanstvenu podršku dobrobiti ajurvede u praksi. Tako da Ajurnet aplikacija u stvari je kartoteka za praktičare, gdje vi možete dugoročno prikupljati podatke o klijentima, imati s njima online komunikaciju. Njegova kartoteka je stalno prisutna i za klijenta i za liječnika. Moguće je napraviti grafički prikaz napretka klijenata, standardizacija procesa, obrade klijenata i liječenja, i povezivanjem više takvih praksi ili klinika mi bi mogli u stvari doći do nekih solidnih podataka gdje se može vidjeti učinkovitost koja bi neki temelj za sistematične neke znanstvene studije koje bi nam osnove za ajurvedsku terapiju. To je jedini cilj kako bi ajurveda u stvari se mogla integrirati u medicinu, mada mi danas kad pričamo i o medicini u ajurvedu, uvijek gledamo u zapadnu medicinu kao velikog brata i kako mu priči, mada ajurveda 5000 godina i ona bi trebala biti stariji brat. Kad vi pogledate kako medicina danas funkcionira i specijalizacije koje su bile nekad i specijalizacije koje su sada, vi vidite da je nekad specijalizacija u medicini bila ili ste psihijatar, neurolog, endokrinolog, danas u specijalizaciji neuroimunoendokrinolog. Znači, sve više dolazi do tog ajurvedskog aspekta gledanja na medicinu, samim tim što ona postaje i sve više individualna. Mi u ajurvedi smo uvijek znali da ti pokreti tjelesni, da ta energija vate, da je nazovem, da dolazi iz crijeva. Zapadna medicina je uvijek tvrdila da dolazi iz mozga. Međutim, evo, najnovija znanstvena istraživanja da neuroni crijeva komuniciraju sa mozgom. Tako da ajurveda je na početku što se tiče integriranja u zapadnu medicinu, ali mislim da ima veliku budućnost. Zajedno sa zapadnom medicinom. Ovdje ću samo pokazati kako ta AjurNet aplikacija izgleda i kako nam ona može potvrditi učinkovitost terapije, gdje se mogu vidjeti i grafičke analize medicinskih izvještaja prije i nakon primjene terapije. Može se vidjeti determinacija kvalitete preparata, koji su preparati učinkoviti, iz koje tvornice dolaze, koje doze, standardizacija, prikaz i dostupnost rezultata. Ovo se može povezati sa, iako i ovo je GDPR compliant, ali da je dostupnost informacija moguća u sinergiji sa ostalim subjektima. Moguće je definirati procese ajurvedske dijagnostike i terapija, usporediti učinkovitost preparata, terapije i preporuka, obrade rezultata i što je najvažnije, što smo i sada primijetili u zadnjih 6 mjeseci, kad imate komunikaciju s klijentom i nemate kartoteku sa sobom, jako je teško se sjetiti i gdje smo bili i gdje želimo biti, ali kad imate to online, to je puno lakše. Evo kako izgleda ta aplikacija, početni screen i u razgovoru s Vedranom ona se vrlo lako može prirediti i za yoga centre i ipak je to dio sve istog miljeja. To u principu može biti jedna kontinuirana klinička studija koja evaluira dobrobit ajurvedske terapije ili na lokalnom ili na globalnom nivou. Evo samo da rezimiram na kraju, znači Ayurveda 2030. godine, kako je vidimo je tako što bi dostupnost preparata i usluga, a samim tim i cijena preparata bi sigurno bila dostupnija za više klijenata, da se regulira ta birokratska procedura, da se standardiziraju prakse i preparata i terapija i da se kliničke i znanstvene studije kao jedini relevantni temelj prepoznavanja i prihvaćanja Ayurvedu u mainstream medicinu i da se napravi integrativni pristup gdje god je to moguće. Ayurveda nije samo medicinska znanost. Ayurvedu možemo prožeti, jako nam je važna i kvaliteta hrane koju jedemo, a to vodi u dalju polemiku i o kvalitete poljoprivrede, ekoloških proizvoda. Tako da integracija ne samo s medicinom, nego sa i ostalim izazovima i ti online izazovi i što će se dešavati u sljedećih godinama, mislimo da Ayurveda ima svjetlu budućnost i da će biti sve pristupačnija i ljudi sve otvoreniji prema njoj. Samo bih htio na kraju još navesti da planiramo raditi i edukacije od 1. mjeseca sljedeće godine. To će biti online edukacije i osnova pančekarma terapija za terapeute. One će biti online i praktične, pa koga to zanima može nas kontaktirati. Evo, toliko od mene. Ja bi sada prepustio riječ doktoru Biju iz AVN-a u Indiji. On je u Maduraju, to je u Tamil Nadu, na jugu Indije. Predavanje će biti na engleskom, tako da ako neko bude trebao neki prijevod ili ako bude neko trebao detalje predavanja, slobodno me može kontaktirati, pa ćemo proći kroz predavanje zajedno. Dr. Biju, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Nebosha. 1 minute, I will.
Okay, I made you the host, so you can take over now.
Okay, thank you. Very good evening, one and all. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm very grateful for the organizers. I could able to at least virtually participate this year in Croatia. I've been visiting Croatia for past 4 to 5 years, every year regularly, to meet the patient, to attend some seminars, present some papers. So this year, we are all aware that because of this so-called corona issue, I could not able to come down. I'm very grateful for the organizers and Mr. Nebosha to initiate this. So at least virtually, I could be able to be in Croatia. So here, before we start, I'll just start with a prayer. You can just listen. Om Namah Pranavartai Shuddha Jnaneya Murtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namah Gurave Sarvalokana Vishaje Bhavarokina Nitaye Sarva Vidyanam Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namah. So salutation to the masters, all the masters, not merely one, for the whole masters. So we will directly enter into the subject which I would like to talk to you. The Ayurvedic perspective of the world pandemic coronavirus, how to prevent, and if you are unfortunately getting affected with coronavirus, don't be panic. How Ayurveda can help in healing this virus clinical features. So we are all hearing a lot of news about coronavirus every day. The media is also giving a lot of required newses and unrequired newses every day. There are a lot of medical about the virus and the quarantine, the pandemic, how, and it is changing all the time. So you have been hearing it from past 10 to 11 months. So I don't want to highlight all those points. So I want to share with you what is the Ayurvedic view about this so-called coronavirus. So you are all aware about the definition. I need not have to tell you. coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, is a contagious respiratory and vascular disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, responsible for an ongoing pandemic. It is running still. So our interest here is what are the things I am going to share with you today. Just concluded in this slide. I'll be giving an introduction about what I would like to share with you. And second thing is what Ayurvedic understanding of COVID-19. So I have divided into three, the Ayurvedic understanding in preventive aspect, in curative mode, and rehabilitation in post-COVID case. Post-COVID syndrome becoming one of the main concern now. So that also will be highlighted today. So I'll be sharing you some interesting clinical reviews. Me, myself, and my colleagues, my friends have been treating corona patients for past 10 months now. And I will be sharing you what are the dietary and behavioral regimens one has to follow in order to prevent and in order to cure this COVID-19. And methods and some ingredients of herbal preparations which are easily available in Europe, and will be the conclusion in the last. So this will be the today's objective. So you must be having a question in your mind whether Ayurveda is time-tested science. Thousands of years it has been documented, evidence are there which is prevalent, and people are getting benefit out of this Ayurveda for thousands and thousands of years. So you must be asking whether this sort of pandemic has been explained in those days. I have to say Charaka Samhita, which is actually dated back to 2nd century BC, exclusively kept a chapter named Janapadodvamsa, which actually explain about pandemic and much beyond that, not merely pandemic alone. So you can't translate the word, Sanskrit word Janapadodvamsa into merely pandemic. Pandemic is included under Janapadodvamsa. Janapada means a large group of people or a population which is getting affected due to something. Uddhamsa means destruction. A continuous disturbance or destruction is called as Uddhamsa. There are two words, Sanskrit word. Janapada means, as I explained to you, it's a large group of people, and Uddhamsa means something which is disturbing or distracting them. So here Ayurveda highlights a point. You all are aware that the current scenario is much concentrated on the virus, or we are much concentrated on the agent. Which agent is creating problem? So we are trying to find out the vaccination. We are trying to find out how to prevent this getting contagious. Everything is required. I'm not against to that. But Ayurveda speaks one step ahead. You have to consider the host who is getting affected with this agent and the environment in which he is living. So these two factors has to be highlighted. So they are explaining how a Janapada Uddhamsa or destruction to a large group of people can happen. It can be, need not be all the time in the form of an epidemic or a pandemic. It can be a war, it can be a flood, it can be a any calamity, natural calamity like drought. Anything can happen, which witnessed in the April. There was an earthquake which is less common in Croatia, if I'm not wrong. It happened in the month of April. So anything can happen if the society is becoming more and more selfish, self-oriented, and they are concentrating about themselves, and they are not having a holistic approach about the whole universe. So that visualization we call in Sanskrit adharma. If you are not following the dharma, dharma means in attitude as well as in your action, you are not your centric. You are for a broader perspective. You have a greater vision. You are not narrow. You are not having a narrow vision about you and your family or you and your friends. You have a broader vision. So that reflect on your action, that reflect in your emotion everywhere. So this adharma is the chief cause for this sort of pandemic or this sort of Janapada Udvamsa. That is what Charaka dated back to 2nd century BC has explained very clearly. So I am proud of my acharyas or my teachers. Thousands of years back itself, they have identified this sort of reason as well as they have identified the solution. We have to change from within. We should not wait for the government to act or the society to act or somebody else to act. The change should happen from within. You may be able to find out a vaccination. You may come across this COVID-19. That is also a need of the time. I do agree. But there may be a virulent vaccine is waiting, which can come out of again. So we have to seriously look into within us. We have to do proper emotional control by adopting maybe pranayama, maybe meditation, maybe yogic postures. These are all the need of the time to retrospectively analyze whether we are living for the much more bigger perspective than that of looking narrow to our own requirement alone. So this is what Charaka explained. Then again, the father of surgery, even now, Sushruta is the father of surgery. He has conducted a lot of corrective surgery in those, even including plastic surgery in those days, thousands and thousands of years. He is back to 6th century. He has even mentioned these contagious diseases, how it is getting contaminated. You see, 6th century, they have documented. Physical contact, they are telling, one of the reasons. Expelled air, the inhalation of a droplet from an infected person can lead to contagious diseases. Eating in the same plate, sharing your eatables with others can lead to this contagious contamination. Sharing bed and sharing seats, using cloths, garlands, utenils used by the infected person, all are responsible for the transmission of diseases from infected to non-infected person. So they are even found out 6th century how it can be contaminated from one to the other, from the infected one to the non-infected one. Those ways they are asking us to prevent, avoid those things, those ways itself. So that is about the history part of Ayurvedic explanation on this contagious diseases or pandemic or epidemic. So here, as I was mentioning you, Ayurvedic understanding of this COVID-19, I divided into 3 categories. I already explained to you preventive, how to get out of this problem. And if at all, unfortunately, if you are getting affected, then how to cure, the curative mode. So here, preventive aspect, I have divided into further 2 for your understanding. The first one is to prevent contamination from the affected person to the non-affected person, how to prevent it. To prevent complication for somebody else already diagnosed or asymptomatic case, then how to prevent it. That is also one important aspect of this prevention. In curative mode, I have divided into 2. The first one is those who are in need of oxygen, and the second one, those who did not want oxygen support. You are all aware that oxygen saturation in these patients are becoming most of the time an issue, where we have to give them externally a support of oxygen. So I do agree, not that all the cases can be handled in an Ayurvedic setup or an Ayurvedic clinic or with an Ayurvedic doctor alone. So that is why there should be an integrated approach. I respect the Western medicine also. In many areas, they are also having a role, but we have to appreciate and accept with the documents. Now I can say you, even Ayurveda plays a vital role in all these areas. There should be an integrated approach, I must say. There should be an integrated approach. Then the last one is the rehabilitation in post-COVID complications. So now the attention is slowly changing. I don't know how it's in Europe. In India, I can say now the attention is slowly going to the people, those who are already recovered from the infection, but they are developing many complications which they call post-COVID syndrome. That is becoming an issue. Even that is leading to mortality. Youngsters, no comorbidities, people are also leading to complication, and sometimes even they are getting very serious mortality also because of this post-COVID syndrome. So that also we have now tried in many patients. The results are encouraging. I will show you some of them. So overview. So here Ayurveda's contribution in COVID-19 crisis has been helpful in preventive management. As I explained you, prevention, management of asymptomatic positive cases, mild to moderate clinical cases, and to good extent in cases with the comorbidities. Because that was the biggest challenge in front of us. People, those who are getting infected with COVID-19 are having so many other comorbidities, like there may be diabetes, there may be cardiac patients, there may be renal patients, there may be hypertensive. So these patients were, in the beginning, there was a little bit of issues to handle, but now with the help of Ayurveda and with the help of Western medicine, we could able to give much relief in India, at least. So that I will explain you in the future slides. So preventive, as I was mentioning, two type of prevention: to prevent the contamination, to prevent the complication. So one of my close friend, renowned physician, Ayurvedic physician, Dr. L. Mahadevan, treated almost 75 patients in an integrated healthcare setup in India. And he has published a case study of patients. Surprisingly, the outcome was really appreciative, as no one in the group, both strongly exposed group and weakly exposed group to COVID-19 patients, was affected by the disease. So I'm explaining about the prevention. So here I will explain you a little more in detail. The strongly exposed group, you know that when you are taking care of 75 patients, that too they are having a serious illness like COVID-19, they have been taken care by you have to have a supportive staff. You have to have doctors, you have to have paramedicals, you have to have therapists, you have to have housekeeping people. So you have to have administrative people. So we were asked them to follow strict dietary and behavioral regimens. Along with that, we have given them Ayurvedic medicines or the supplements to prevent they themselves getting affected with this infection. So the result was totally encouraging, and for surprise, those who are strongly exposed, like the paramedics, the doctors, and the housekeeping people are strongly exposed to these patients, and those who are administrative, weakly exposed to COVID patients, but none of them for a period of at least 2 months got affected with COVID-19. As I was mentioning, they were following strict dietary and behavioral regimens with appropriate and necessary Ayurvedic medicines. So in curative mode, that we were talking about the preventive mode. So in curative mode, also the study shows many of the COVID patients with mild to moderate complications are having tremendous positive response in both symptomatic and asymptomatic cases. Who were advised Ayurvedic medication with a strong diet and behavioral regimen were able to recover fast and avoid serious complications. More than 100 cases has been documented. So these are all treated in the setup where you have an integrated allopathy doctor, part-time part, you have the Ayurvedic team also. looking after these patients. So there we could able to find out the biggest challenge in COVID patients. Very fast they are leading to further complications like breathlessness, decreased oxygen saturation, and they may develop some blood clot related issues. These things we could able to really check with the help of the diet, behavior, as well as Ayurvedic medication. So documented evidence are available of patients on oxygen support were able to withdraw the oxygen support within 48 hours after initiating the Ayurvedic treatment. So this was a case, her brother got cured with Ayurvedic treatment of COVID-19 without any complication. So this sister also developed the complaint. She was young. She got admitted in a hospital, and they came to know that her oxygen saturation was coming down below 80. So they initiated giving her, providing the support of oxygen. But unfortunately, she did not respond to that. Her oxygen saturation level was somewhere between 80 and 85. But then she requested herself, I have to, I'm willing, I want Ayurvedic treatment. 1 minute, 1 minute. Hello? 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 Okay, okay. Sorry. Hello, yes, am I audible? Okay.
Yes, Dr. Biju.
Okay, thank you. So we have started experimenting cases. Sorry, I actually jumped. Okay. So this young lady was on oxygen support. She requested voluntarily. She want to have Ayurvedic treatment also, along with this, whatever the Ayurvedic, the modern medicine intervention. She actually, after taking 48 hours of this Ayurvedic medicine, she could totally devoid of oxygen support. Within 48 hours, she started doing, sitting and breathing without any hassle, and she was doing things by herself. So that was one finding. But with one case, I cannot claim everybody will be having the same. We have to. These are all some light which is showing that there will be a huge sample size, maybe giving us a better idea. These are all some direction which we are getting out of this. So you may be thinking that, okay, I have certain diet and behavioral regimen for everyone, and I have some magic pill which I'll give you, and you will be devoid of all these issues. Please don't misunderstand like that. Ayurvedic treatment itself is very tailor-made. So if I have to treat myself, I have to consider my own constitution, my own age, my own habitat, my own habits. So many factors has to be analyzed. So, however, the focus of Ayurvedic treatment is on strengthening the host. So, I was telling you at the beginning, people are now more interested on the agent rather than the host. So, we consider strengthening the host will be able to have a better fight towards the host, towards the agent. So, like Agni. So, we consider Agni Moolam Balam. Like the whole strength is your digestive capacity and the metabolic capacity. That is what Ayurvedic understanding. So digestive and metabolic function, Bala, which is innate strength of the body, not merely the body, and the strength of your mind, which plays a vital role. And restoring the balance of Tridoshas. I think most of you are almost having awareness about Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So this is a dynamic thing which is constantly in change. You have to balance it. The body itself is having a tendency to fall into balance. When it go beyond that, only will leads to a disease. So you have to consider what imbalance the patient is suffering. Then only you have to decide the medicine and dietary and behavioral regimens. Not that it is a blanket therapy for everyone. So that we may misunderstand. So rehabilitation, the last one I was explaining you, there are a lot of complications, even death happening. The people are very happily getting discharged from the hospital and coming down to their family, but they are developing complications, especially what I notice now, small vessel disease, which we call that the small vessels in the heart and brain is getting blocked due to the pre-existing problem with this COVID clots, blood clots. So that is leading as a main cause, and some are having minor problems like fatigue, muscle pain, some are having breathlessness because already the lung tissue is becoming a little bit fibrotic. So these complications we are now experimenting, and cases of rehabilitation with Ayurvedic medicine. The results are really encouraging, and I will be able to tell you in little short time how precisely we will be able to help these people. So rehabilitation of COVID-19 patient is becoming one of the biggest challenge. Rasayana is one of the 8th branch of Ayurveda, is being potentially used for rejuvenating, replenishing, and restoring the strength of the tissues. So the details, we required many more slides to explain. I won't be able to explain it everything now. So we will have some other time we can think of discussing those things. And I wish to highlight 2 points: dietary and behavioral regimens. As you are away from like place like India, you won't be able to get all the medicines which I want to provide you at the time when you to prevent or to cure. So I, in my practical way, try to explain the lifestyle modifications and dietary regimens and behavioral regimens to take care of you, which is possible in any part of the world. So I am highlighting that what Ayurvedic diet will be helpful. So the diet and lifestyle modification advocated in Ayurveda also felicitate the immune system to fight against the infected organism, which nothing but. So diet is helping in fighting. So diet according to Ayurveda. Ayurveda explains in detail 8 attributes related to food. Whatever the food, we consider these 8 factors. One is the qualitative characteristic of the food, nature of the food, prakriti we call it in Sanskrit. So that is a quality, what quality this food is. So you may be having, this is gluten free, this is with gluten, this is with, there are a lot of, this is fatty, this is non-fatty, everything attribute to this prakriti, we call prakriti in Sanskrit, which is a qualitative characteristic of the food. Then the next attribution to the food is karana. Karana means we process the food in different way. For example, I will take one example which is very commonly used by Ayurvedic people, Triphala. That is 3 fruits are there in Triphala. 3 means exactly Sanskrit 3. And phala means fruits. There are 3 fruits. You take one of the ingredient which is called Terminalia chibula. Botanical name is Terminalia chibula. We Sanskrit call it as haritaki. So this Triphala and this haritaki is known for its laxative function. It is good if you take the powder in the night, you will get a better bowel in the morning. Many people are using, even in Europe. I know Triphala is available everywhere. But the same Triphala, the main ingredient, Terminalia chibula or the haritaki, if you steam it, that will act like a thing which leads to constipation. So powder will act like a laxative. When you cook it in the form of steaming, it becomes constipated. Same thing happen if you make kashaya, little more different. So processing can change the food. Some yoga, mixing with like something which is very heavy. I will take one more example. I know I also happen to eat a lot of green salad. So normally you put a little bit of garlic or pepper or a little bit of apple vinegar into that to make it more digestible, because that is cellulose, very tough to digest. So mixing with something will help the food more absorbable, more assimilating in that way. So these are certain factors attributing to food. Rashi, the quantity. Here the quantity is heavy things you have to eat very less quantity. Things which are very light to digest, you can eat little more in quantity. So that plays a vital role. Desha, habitat of the person. If I am coming to Croatia and eating your stuff which you are regularly eating, I have to be a little careful. Like it can lead to, because it is not used for me. Body is not used for that. You have to patiently wait for some time to make it used for your body. So Desha means the habitat of the person also plays a vital role. Kala, time and season, both. Whatever you are eating in the winter, you all aware that you will not be eating in summer. Whatever you take in summer, you won't be taking in the winter. Same way, whatever you are supposed to eat in the morning. So morning, you should not have more of dietary products, whereas you can have in the noon, have more dietary products and dairy products. And in the evening, night, you should have little warm soup and warm. So time and season plays a decision in making the food. Upayoga samstha means variable digestibility of the individual. Somebody can digest even a heavy food, some will not be able to digest. So you have to be conscious about your digestion before you planning a diet. Upayukta, the person who takes the food, depending what age he is and what season he is, all these factors are very important when you plan the diet Ayurvedically. So here you have the diet which I explained, preventive diet for COVID, which we actually used in India and which is practically possible to use in Croatia. I have documented here. In preventive diet, you can have moong dal, turmeric, pepper, cumin seeds, ginger, herbal tea, mint tea, masala tea, ginger soup, cumin soup. Please don't drink water with ice cubes, which I often see in the coffee bars, coffee shops. Everybody drinks a coffee and the person will be serving you with a lot of ice cubes and water mixed with ice. So that you should avoid. You can have regimens. You can have steam inhalation every day, gargling with hot salt water, nasya or nostril application of virgin coconut oil, 2 to 3 drops you can instill in the morning. You can do some fumigation, dhumana with neem or gugulu resin or mustard seeds or asafoetida. Asafoetida and all may be possible to get it. I think Mr. Nebosha will be able to explain to you a little more in this area, what is not available, what is available there. I tried to document something which are more commonly accessible for you people from Europe. Application of Rasnadi Churna. Rasnadi Churna is a powder, medicated powder, which most of you Ayurvedic people will be knowing. So that you have to apply it over the crown after taking shower. Exercise, very important. See, COVID-19 not affected physically. COVID-19 affected mentally, socially, economically. There are a lot of other involvements. So we only look at it as a medical entity. I must say, from an Ayurvedic perspective, you must look into it and little more deeper, how it has affected economically, how it has affected emotionally, how it has affected socially, all these factors also. So doing a regular pranayama like Kapalabhati, Neti, some yogic postures and meditation all help us to keep our emotional level in a balanced way. We will not fall into anxiety, we will not fall into too much of depression. That is actually the prime cause for all complications which we are seeing in COVID-19. And some of the people are taken extreme steps like suicide in India because of getting isolated from others and getting out of the anxiety about what is going to happen for them in the beginning. And in curative, already if you are infected, what to be taken? Patient has advised to take light and hot food which is easy to digest. Drink hot water, herbal tea, mint tea, masala tea, ginger soup, cumin soup, rice gruel or rice gruel with green gram, milk added with palm sugar and turmeric, which may not be available there, tulasi juice, and in regimen, hot water in recommended for all purpose. Head bath is strictly avoided. If needed, you have to apply Rasna Churna or crown. Towel bath is recommended instead of direct exposure to water. Steam inhalation, gargling with salt water, along with the daytime sleep. Avoid daytime sleep, oil massage, exercise are strictly not allowed if you are getting infected with COVID-19. One should completely avoid food items which are heavy, spicy, astringent, and anxious. Exercise, please don't do any exercise. Body required a complete rest. Viral infection can get healed by itself if you give adequate rest to the body. Only you can do some pranayama and some meditation. And some concept like Agni and Ojas. Agni and Ojas is perhaps the most relatable as expressed by immune system and our body's ability to resist the illness and recover from it when it manifests. So this is little more theoretical, which is may not be that interestable. So Agni and Ojas is nothing but immune system in Ayurveda. Agni means the entire metabolic activity, digestion, assimilation, proper evacuation of things considered as the function of Agni. And if your Agni is in a balanced state, you will have adequate Ojas that will take care of your immune system well. Preparation, which you, if you are interested, you can have herbal tea. The ingredients are turmeric powder, 1/4 of a teaspoon, cumin seeds, 1/4 of a teaspoon, coriander seeds, 1/4 of a teaspoon, fennel seeds, dry ginger powder, 1/4 of a teaspoon, black pepper, 1 pinch, cinnamon powder, 1 pinch, cardamom, 1 in number. Method of preparation: boil 2 cups of water and reduce into half of the quantity. Dosage: twice in a day with warm temperature, preferably to be drunk in early and mid morning with suitable adjuncts. Masala tea, the ingredients are cardamom 100 gram, cinnamon powder 50 gram, black pepper 1 pinch, dry ginger 100 gram, cloves 100 gram, black ella 50 gram. Preparation: bring water to boil. If you want a strong tea, use 1 heaping teaspoon of a powder of above mentioned herbs for each serving. Use half teaspoon for more mellow brew. Let the tea steep for 10 minutes. Allow it to be for keep it for 10 minutes before you take. So I wish to conclude. It can be concluded from review whatever the cases I observed, treated by myself and treated by my friends, that the specific diet and lifestyle modification on the basis of Ayurvedic principles could help the patient of COVID-19 to recover from the disease with a high speed without further complications. This review work may serve as a lead to conduct further interventional study of Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle modification for patients of COVID-19. So this is only a tip of the iceberg. We have to evaluate a lot. We require more sample, more data to analyze. So, but I can say that COVID-19 is self-limiting if you just keep all these dietary and behavioral regimens, Ayurvedic principles. You can help yourself in a better way to prevent and cure the COVID-19. That is what I want to conclude. Thank you one and all for your patient hearing. And I will hand over the mic to Nebosha now.
Thank you, Dr. Biju. Thank you for your presentation. The people were really nice and quiet all this time because they were all muted. But if they want to ask some question and give us some feedback, that would be nice. Ako imate nekih pitanja, u vezi prezentacije i ako vas šta zanima, evo, možete se slobodno javiti pa ćemo probati odgovoriti skupa na to.
Okay, I can start. Hello, Dr. Biju and Nebojša, and thank you for this nice presentation. I was wondering, Dr. Biju, it was very useful, all the tips, but I was wondering the black Ela, is it cardamom or which plant is it in your recipe for the tea?
Ela and black pepper.
Okay,
I can even share that. I can even share.
thank you.
Podijelit ćemo recept za masala čaj. Razne verzije masala
Nebojša?
čaja. Yes?
Nebojša is a
Yes,
not
Dr. Biju.
really a good. Yeah, sorry to interfere. I want to highlight some point here. Nebojša not merely a good Ayurvedic practitioner, he is a good cook also, Ayurvedic cook.
Thank you, thank you. You have to love what you cook. So, and you have to love people for you cooking for.
Dr. Biju,
Yeah,
I already
yes.
had the possibility to taste the food he was cooking together with Branko. It was very nice. It was really like in India. So yeah, thank you.
Yes, yes, I am aware of that.
I'm getting red, thank you. Lima, any other questions about the topics? I mean, everything, it will be available live on the internet at some point because it's recorded, but maybe if you have some questions. Jel imate kakvih još pitanja ili da zaključimo?
Možemo zaključiti.
Možemo. Evo, hvala vam svima, stvarno da ste se pojavili u tolikom broju, odvojili vremena. Ako šta treba u vezi ove prezentacije i ovog predavanja, slobodno se javite. Ja nisam na početku ni rekao da dr. Biju radi u bolnici od 100 kreveta, tako da svakodnevno radi sa COVID pacijentima i ima prvo iskustvo iz prve ruke u vezi toga, tako da eto, slobodno kontaktirajte ili mene ili njega, podijelit ćemo kontakte. Hvala vam svima i vidimo se nekom drugom prilikom. Evo, nadam se da ćemo ostati u kontaktu.
Hvala.
Hvala, pozdrav svima.
Hvala.
Hvala, Nebojša.
Hvala puna.
Hvala, dr. Biju.
Hvala.
Thank you
Bye
so
bye.
much.
Thank
Namaste
you.
from India. Good night to all.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night.